This my style is ridiculous.
Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum dim dim. Skibbity.
Baby, you can't read the doll.
Hey guys, welcome back to Boy Meets Doll. My name is Kelly, and today we're starting a video series. I am rehabbing a doll from the Goodwill shop Goodwill site, and it is the worst conditioned doll I've ever received. It smells literally, it reeks of cigarette smoke. So through this video series, I'm going to be leading you through how to get out cigarette smoke. We're going to be re-wigging the doll. We'll be adding some light makeup and kind of just repurposing this doll and kind of creating a whole new character. My kind of idea is to turn her into Maria from The Sound of Music. And I'm going to insert a clip here if you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, need I say more? So we're kind of going for kind of that, she was sort of like a caretaker. She studied in the convent. So just kind of that like very kind of classic look, maybe with a guitar. And then I have a dress that looks like this. So this is kind of the route that we're going. So kind of have this in mind as we are doing this doll. Okay, guys, so I didn't get the first few steps of this because basically I didn't have the idea for this video until kind of midway through. So basically what I did is I took the doll completely apart. So I just pulled the head off by untying the strings on the back of the doll, and then put all the body parts and the head in a clear plastic container, and I put a deodorizer. So I put powdered deodorizer at the bottom, and then I put dryer sheets in and around the doll pieces. And basically, you guys, I let this out in the sun for like basically a month. It was 3 weeks to a month because of how strong the smoke smell was. What this is going to do is, because it's airtight, it's going to help deodorize the doll. It's going to help start removing some of those toxins that have been trapped on the vinyl. And, I would bring it in time to time, especially if it was raining or, it's in the heat for a long time. So I would try to bring it inside time to time. The middle part of the body, I put to the side, and that actually surprisingly does not smell anymore. Now the stuffing, I was stupid, and I read that you could put it in a pillowcase, tie it tight, and then just wash it with your laundry. Well, when I did that, it got everywhere. It literally opened up while I was washing, so all my clothes had doll stuffing all over it. So I did order new doll stuffing from Amazon, and I will show you that on a separate video, how to restuff the doll and how to redo the strings. So this is basically the first long step. Depending how strong the odor is, you really need to use a deodorizer. You can use baking soda. I used just some stuff. I got all of this from the dollar store. I did cover her eyes, so I did tape down just a little kind of cloth over her eyes, and that would just help protect her eyes. So she's also bald because I am going to be re-wigging. Her wig smelled horribly of smoke. It was ratty. It was disgusting. I threw it away. I wasn't even going to try to reuse or repurpose it or improve it because it was just that bad. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next step, what I did afterwards. Please note in the video, there's going to be some background noise. I listen to like little crime shows and things like that while I'm working. So I hope it doesn't bother you. I considered whether I should leave the background noise or not, but hopefully it's kind of cozy to you as I'm working. Okay, inside this box, there is a doll. It may not look like it. Are you ready to see? Doesn't look like the right size, does it? Okay, this has quite literally been soaking for 3 weeks or a month. It's smelling a lot better. So here we go.
Right, we'll do it again, right? And let me tell you, if I had the opportunity, I
Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm kind of preparing. I got a hot bowl of water. I have some deodorizing spray from the Dollar Tree. There's like these little plastic pieces that are inside the limbs. What I'm doing is I'm going to heat up the limbs and remove the plastic pieces before I am going to soak the doll parts in a solution of vinegar and water for like overnight or even more than that. So that's just kind of what I'm doing here.
Go ahead, let him out. See what happens. And let's wait for a few months. Right. This is just look like Brucato profile in your new room. It comes up right away. They took my pieces of the episode and strung them together. So it just looks like.
What I'm doing here is I'm putting the doll limbs inside bags, and then I'm gonna dip it in this hot water. And the reason why is because the little hole openings in the limbs where those plastic pieces are for restringing, it helps the limbs to open up more easily. You'll see as I remove the little plastic pieces.
I guess we've been doing this too long. But it's easy to find. I mean, take a look at it.
Aaron N., is narcissism involved with his profiling? Sorry if I missed that part.
Well, in the way that Michael Stone and I conceptualize some of these cluster B personality traits, we put them on a spectrum. So we see narcissism followed by being psychopath, followed by sadism, which isn't a personality disorder anymore, right? The GSM. They took it out because it was being abused as a defense. But my client suffers from sadistic personality disorder. He was beating up his wife because he's got sadistic personality disorder. So it's no longer vector. So by putting it on a spectrum, then you say.
What I'm doing here is I'm using this little tool. It's like little clamps, and you turn the little plastic piece to the side and pop it out like so. That string right there was, from inside the limb. I had cut those strings when I kind of unraveled the doll. You'll want to put those pieces to the side and keep them because you're going to reuse them when we restring the doll in a later video.
Whenever you deal with a narcissistic person, the clue of it is that people around them get kind of divided up into people that like ferociously defend them and people that hate their guts, right? So you look for that division in the public and you know you're dealing with a narcissist. That's basically how it works. And so you get sycophants that will do anything to defend you, and then you get the ones who go out and say, I don't know what you're looking at, this is a monster. And that can divide juries. That can divide juries incredibly. He's a victim. No, he's a monster. The victim. We see it in the chat today.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's a clue of that personality structure. So you're getting lots of compliments to many in the audience.
There you go. And from our friend at Grizzly True Crime, Gisela, the Zizians are also vegans.
Yeah.
Do you know about the Zizians?
Well, I don't know too much about them. I do know that channel. I've enjoyed watching many times. But no, maybe I'd like to hear a little bit more about it. I'd like to learn about anything that's off the beaten path.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about the Zizians, but I would be afraid that I would misspeak here. But I believe it's a cult-like group, and they have some interesting background. But I don't want to make the mistake. I've read about it, but we haven't covered it yet on my show, and I think we should. Thanks so much, Grizzly.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, no, it's a fascinating group. Do you do much studying of cults?
Well, of course, I mean, we have a lot about it in people also. And I'm very interested in cults because one of the teaching points I've used over the years talking about cults is that a cult, in my opinion, is basically a large-scale abusive relationship. The mechanisms that are used in a cult are exactly the same as what an individual would use who was trying to control, love bomb, manipulate, etc. An individual person. And, so you can see how the same kind of personality structure in an abuser is present in a cult. But cults are getting very popular because of this
So you just repeat this process for all 4 limbs.
A lot of the traditional ideas and things that, we're seeing fall, in the contemporary world. It's not necessarily, I'm not saying that's a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing.
Having those things fall, people go, they have a need for this kind of idea, and they think that's partly so covert with the vegan thing. You need to get something to belong to. And that's why with the mass murderers, losing that one thing is such an activating event for them. Because if your whole life is, my romantic partner, my school, my work, my whatever, and you lose it, your whole identity collapses. It's not like, 100 years ago where the average person would say, well, I'll fall back on my faith.
Right.
Back on, on certain cultural ideas.
It's crazy. There has to be a science to this because sometimes it's like so easy to pop them out, and then you can see these later ones actually took me a lot longer.
Of the average person, so that you're seeing that crime is changing, becoming more horrifying, and things that would have been like page 1 news 50 years ago are now like page 18. And the newspapers are garden variety.
So incredibly true.
Right, because they're
So incredibly true.
sensitized, and the technology added to it's like a perfect soup. So that's what new evil is, right? That's what we mean by the term. It's the changes, the cultural changes, the technological changes, making crime different. So,
New Jersey Elaine, thank you, Vinny, for having such a brilliant mind on, and Dr. Ricardo, so appreciate your insight on this case. Love your book. There you go, getting some love.
thank you. It did very well. Many times it becomes the #1 bestseller in forensic psychology on Amazon, and whenever I do an appearance like this, I see jolts and sales, and I really, really appreciate that. But you can get it anywhere. Barnes & Noble has it, all the main bookstores, but I'm working on 2 more. So
Two more, okay.
Yes, one is a book with the foundation. So and the other book is like a sort of I won't get into it, but sort of a follow-up to the evil.
Ashley Bouchard, one of our moderators over on Facebook, do you think people are born evil or learn evil?
Okay, well, here's the question that was written.
Is that another hour?
No, I mean, it could be, but,
Could be, I know, right?
not me. But,
Okay, here's my solution of just plain white cleaning vinegar, and I did like warm water, and I'm just depositing all of the limbs into that solution, and I'm gonna let them soak. Basically, I think I did this for like almost a day. It was definitely overnight.
On my show, Court TV, bringing your expertise and insight. I'm glad we got to have a much deeper conversation tonight because we have the ability to not have to go to a break for a commercial and all the other things that happen on television. So,
and I will talk to some of my colleagues who are interested in appearing also.
yeah, absolutely. This worked out really, really well. Dr. Gary Buccato, thank you so much, sir.
You are so welcome. Take care, everyone.
Well, this is the part that what you're gonna miss. I'm just gonna tell you what you're gonna miss. So I'm just gonna stick around for this. I'm type 1 diabetic. So at the end of each program, people have to guess my current blood sugar.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then, we give out prizes at the end of each quarter, but, so there's some of that stuff involved. I don't think you need to be here for that, it gets a little silly, but it's just something we do here on the program. Do you want to venture a guess as to what you believe my blood sugar is at this moment?
No, I don't want to venture a guess. Let me leave that up to the others, but I think it's really great that you're drawing attention to the importance of diabetes awareness, because let me tell you, there are people walking around, particularly with type 2, that
Yeah.
have no idea that they have it, and they're just, waiting. I have a health condition that has aspects that overlap quite a lot with diabetes. I'm very sensitive to that, and I think that that's really, really great. And also my co-author, Louisville, suffered from many years of diabetes, very, very big on diabetes awareness.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very public about it, for a couple of reasons. One reason is
We're going to move on to cleaning the face. I did not drop the face or the head of the doll into the solution. And we're going to actually work on applying a little bit of makeup to this doll. But first, what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it. It still had a little bit of smell of that powder, the kind of deodorizing powder that I had the dolls in. So I'm just going to work on cleaning this doll up. I'm using some non-acetone cleaner and, just some water, even a magic eraser here as well.
No, it's everywhere. Type 1, there's not quite as many of us, but, it's the same thing. It's the same thing's gonna happen to you if you don't take care of yourself, so. Take care of your Ricardo.
All right, take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
Need me. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, Dr. Gary Ricardo, the first guest ever, ladies and gentlemen. I've never had a guest before. What a great guest. It's an amazing time. Incredible insight. If I didn't get to your question, obviously there were tons of questions. I couldn't get to all of them. And trying to speak and listen to him and read the comments so I get to questions was a little bit of a challenge. So I'm going to come up with a different way to do that next time I have a great guest like this on. But thank you so much. I'm trying to see. So Gringa has gifted one Core TV membership. I don't know how to pop that up on the screen. But by the way, we are live on my Facebook, on my YouTube channel. We are also live on Twitch, on X, and on the Core TV YouTube channel page for a great simulcast. All right, now I gotta go back in and make sure I don't, I don't want to miss any of the supers. Gringa, thank you, Gringa. Let me sure we get yours. Music by Brian. Why do so many want to go to bat for him and others like him even after he's pleaded guilty? Music by Brian 2020. That's a great question. Some people like to be contrarians. I think our system of justice in a case that has not been fully litigated, right? But we don't have the conclusion. I think a sense of skepticism is good, is healthy. They're not just taking the government at their word, but here, you're not taking the government at their word, you're not taking the defendant at his word.
As I do this process, apply makeup, clean the doll up, sometimes I like to pop the wig on that I'm going to plan to use, and we're not going to be gluing the wig on for a while, but just to kind of show myself, like, hey, what I'm thinking it's going to look like. What do you think? Does she look like Maria?
He is admitting what he did, so it's not even the jury saying it and saying the jury got it wrong. What you're saying is that he's admitting to a horrific event that he did not do. And there's Gringa gifting one Core TV membership. Thank you so much. And by the way, if you're watching on one of my channels, make sure that you subscribe to the Core TV YouTube channel, and they also have a membership program over there with lots of great perks. So that's awesome. All right. So I think I got to all the supers. If I missed your super, I do apologize. So now the other thing we're gonna do I see some guesses that are out there already.
Don't worry about the glue on the top of her head, because when you re-wig them, you're not going to see it anyways. There's a lot of people who love to, remove every little bit of glue, but there's no point because you're not going to see it. This is a deodorizing spray I got from the Dollar Tree. I think I sprayed some on the sponge, and then I'm just kind of wiping her down, or maybe a paper towel, and it's just helping kind of, again, remove and improve her scent. Okay, we're gonna start applying some makeup, but before I do this, especially if I'm trying to kind of model the doll after a character or somebody, I like to look up photos and kind of plan just kind of, a little bit on how I kind of want the doll to look. So here is Maria Von Trapp.
Way through it, but I think we got through enough of it. It was really gruesome, and so I don't think we need to really go into much more of that. Just to recap, the first officers on scene found Anna in her bedroom, and she was wearing a sweatshirt and underwear, and she had been stabbed. She had 50 stab wounds and many, many defensive wounds. So Xana fought a lot. Xana tried to save herself and sadly couldn't, which is horrible. So it really goes off her stuff. Ethan was in the bed and he had been stabbed. There were things done to his legs. Kaylee's face, the officer described her as unrecognizable, and there was damage done to her mouth. Her father's teeth told Ashley Banfield that her teeth were knocked out. I have some ideas of maybe how that happened. But I don't want to spread rumors and things like that. I don't think the police know how that happened or the medical examiner, but she was struck, it seems, many, many times. Also, Maddie had been, of course, stabbed as well in the bed with Kaylee. So just awful stuff. And I talked to, I know I mentioned this last night, I talked to Chief Dollinger, pardon me. He was Captain Dollinger at the Moscow PD back when this happened. He's now the chief because Chief Fry left the department and then went to run for sheriff. Now he's, Chief Fry is at the West Richland Police Department in Washington State. And so now Captain Dollinger is Chief Dollinger. And so they don't know who the intended target was. Doesn't sound like they believe Xana was the intended target, of course. Sounds like they believe he ran into her on the way out of the house. But they believe that Kaylee or Maddie was the intended target. So I've told you my theory here before that I believe that Maddie was the intended target and that he didn't expect Kaylee there. Because Brian Koberger, they said, scrubbed his devices, he was using VPNs, he was using software to wipe his devices. They say they have no...
I want to say that I am by no means an expert on doll makeup, and this is only the second doll I've ever really tried to create or, kind of make a custom. And it's a lot of trial and error. As soon as I put this lip color on, it just looked really bad. So I am going to take some non-acetone nail polish remover and put it on a Q-tip and just lightly wipe it off. So you can definitely correct these mistakes. Don't feel nervous or like it has to be perfect the first time. And I'm truly always trying to get better.
And the reason I want to touch on the DoorDash driver is because, there's that video of her floating around, which I was very suspicious of when it came out. The traffic stop video from the Pullman PD. And from 2024 is when that happened. It's a DUI stop. And she says to the cops somewhere along the way that she had PTSD, she has to testify in the trial, and that she saw Brian and pulled up right next to her. Well, we're going to address that because I was very skeptical of that when she said that in the video. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. What matters is what she said to the cops after this happened. That's what matters, not what, it doesn't matter what she says during a traffic stop, almost 2 years later. That makes no difference, what she says on there. So we now know what she said. I have the documents here. So let's start with Dylan Mortenson's statement. I'm going to put that up on the screen for you. I've got it here printed out on paper because it's really hard to read on the screen here. So basically on November 13th, 2022, Dylan was interviewed in regard to the homicide. She said she was a resident of the house, which obviously we know. She said that she thought that Bethany arrived home at minutes after she arrived. She says she believes she arrived home somewhere between 12:30 and 1 a.m. She said she believed Maddie and Kaylee arrived home around 1:30 or 2. And Dylan said up to this, nothing weird had happened during the night. She said she and her friend, somebody whose name is redacted, came home followed by Bethany from somewhere. She said she lived at some house, and so let's get past this part because there's a lot of redactions. She was asked about the layout of the house. She said Kaylee's room was directly above her room. She said she lived on the second floor, and Kaylee lived on, Dylan said she lived on the second floor, and Kaylee lived on the third floor. She said Kaylee and Maddie both lived upstairs on the third floor in separate rooms. She said Xana lived closest to the bathroom on the second floor, and Bethany lived on the first floor. When asked about Murphy, and that of course is Kaylee's dog, she said it was a dog owned in common between Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend. She said there was no apparent issues between Kaylee and the ex. We all know his name, but I'm gonna leave him out of this. She said Maddie had a boyfriend, and we'll leave his name out of this too, he doesn't need to be brought into this, who was in Boise at the time of the incident. She indicated that Xana was dating Ethan Chapin, who was in the room with her at the time of the incident. Dylan did not know of anyone who would want to hurt Ethan when she was asked. She was asked if she saw, she was asked if she saw any cars. I've got like a bad printer here, guys. She was asked if she saw any cars in the area that should not be there. She said, no, I was not really looking at that. She said she woke up at around 400 hours or 4 a.m. where she could hear Kaylee and Murphy, the dog, dancing. So she described 4 a.m. she hears Kaylee and Murphy dancing. Now you remember there was that TikTok that Kaylee had where she was kind of dancing with Murphy. Maybe that's something she commonly did, just playing with her dog. She said she knew it was Kaylee because she recognized her voice and could hear Murphy barking. She said she heard Kaylee say there is someone here. She said she thought she heard Kaylee run down the stairs. She said Kaylee sounded scared when she made this statement. She said at this time she jumped up, locked the door because she did not know what else to do, and she said she called out Kaylee's name and did not indicate if she got a response. She said she then tried to call Kaylee, Xana and Maddie on their phones. And when I first read this, I apologize because I thought, unless I'm missing something, let me zoom in here for a second. I could have sworn I read something where she had said that she had heard her scream. No, she might have said that in a later statement, actually. Sorry, there's a few different statements from Dylan. Okay. So Dylan said at this time she jumped up and she locked the door because she didn't know what to do. This is after she heard Kaylee sounding scared and what she thought was Kaylee running down the stairs. She said she called out Kaylee's name, did not indicate if she got a response. She then tried to call Kaylee, Xana, and Maddie on their phones and was asked if she saw anyone come downstairs or anything, and she said, no, I don't even know how they got in. We're usually pretty good about locking doors and never had problems before. It was just really random. When asked again about the series of events, she said she opened the door when she cried out to Kaylee, then closed the door because she was scared. She said she then opened the door again and heard who she thought was Kaylee, but could have been Xana crying in the bathroom. She said she then heard a man's voice say, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And Dylan said it was weird because the statement was not said in a nice way. And the voice was one she had never heard before. That's really scary. Dylan said she called out to Kaylee again and there was no crying after, and she did not know what happened after that. She said she opened the door again and the guy was right there. She described the male as approximately her height, 5'10" or a few inches taller, not skinny, but an athletic build. And she said the suspect was wearing all black with masks that covered just his forehead and goes around his face. She showed with her hands the mask exposed his nose, but covered the mouth area. So, I've done this before. People kind of make fun of me when I do it. But here, looked like. She said she saw the suspect, she said when she saw the suspect, he saw her and just left. So she's saying he saw her. She said she believed he was holding something near his stomach or belt line. She used both hands to point straight out from her abdomen. So she's saying, you know, he, like, so she's saying he was holding something with both hands. Like, what on earth was he holding? Like, we just don't know. Dylan then moved her hands apart and back together to simulate a bulge. She said this area was black in color and she thought now maybe it was a gun. She said the unknown object had an arrow shape. She seemed really unsure and said she was tired during the event. She was asked how long she believed it was from the time Keely said someone is here to when she saw the suspect. She said she thought it was about 10 or 20 minutes. She went on to say she was in and out of it and she did not fully remember the incident. She was asked where the suspect was in the residence when Dylan saw him, and she said the suspect was between her bedroom door and the kitchen. She said she remembered watching the suspect go out of the kitchen door and leave. She said at this time she closed her door and locked it as fast as she could. She said the suspect did not walk toward her or say anything. Now, think about this, if you would, for just a moment. I mean, this obviously sounds like something out of a horror movie. Once you wake up and realize what has gone on. I mean, think about it. You've been out drinking, you hear this stuff, you're tired, you're half asleep, you're like hearing what you think is your roommate dancing with her dog. Then you hear somebody, like, sounds like they're crying in the bathroom. You know, it's nuts. We're gonna pick this up again. Guys, I just have to make a quick adjustment. I hear the chat is roaring, so we're gonna do some things real quick. Alright, so it's exciting that the chat is rocking and rolling tonight. I'm very happy that everybody has joined. If you're just joining, please hit a thumbs up and please subscribe. I would love to have you as a subscriber. So let's pick up where we left off. So Dylan sees the guy. She's saying the guy's right there and he's got a bulge. So is that a fanny pack? I mean, is that, she's saying he was carrying something. So she's saying it's a bulge and she's simulating. So this is likely all on videotape that we may see at some point in time as this comes out. Like as the records come out. But she also said, you know, it looked like an arrow shape. Later on we hear, you know, from other filings in court, not the reports, but from filings in court that she thought it was exactly a bulge. So if he's holding something with both hands, she saw something that is still not, it's not computing to her what exactly it was. It's dark, she's tired, you know, stuff like that. So let's pick this up. So she was really tired, she says. She was asked how long she believed it was from the time that Keely said someone is here to when she saw the suspect. She said she thought it was about 10 or 20 minutes. She went on to say she was in and out of it and she did not fully remember the incident. She was asked where the suspect was in the residence when she saw him and she said she was between her bedroom door and the kitchen. She remembered watching the suspect go out the kitchen door and leave. So she saw him go out the kitchen door where I believe, I'm assuming they're meaning the slider, unless they just mean the kitchen opening there. But I'm assuming they mean she saw him go out the kitchen slider. Dylan said at this time she closed her door and locked it as fast as she could. She said the suspect did not walk toward her or say anything. So here's my thought on that. The fight with Xana. Xana had 50 wounds. The fight with Xana. go according to plan, and this is jacking up the adrenaline. You've got something that did not go according to plan on the 3rd floor. You're trying to get the heck out of there. You come down and you encounter a 3rd person that you did not anticipate who is fighting like hell to survive. Fighting like hell. That adrenaline is jacked up, it's running. This person.
Okay, just a warning, these eyebrows are going to be horrible. I have not perfected eyebrows yet. I haven't perfected any of this process really, but especially eyebrows, I feel like even the smallest, thinnest brush doesn't make the lines look how you want. You know, how brows should kind of be wispy and the lines should be well defined. It just, even with this little tiny brush, the point is too thick, I think. So these are going to look really bad. We're going to fix this in another video.
Because she was described as having defensive wounds to her face, her arms, and her hands. So she's maybe grabbing this. I mean, think about the sheer horror and terror that Xana Kernodle went through in the final moments of her life. It's horrific. Dylan said once the suspect left, she immediately called Bethany. Dylan said that Bethany informed her she heard a sound that sounded like a firework. Dylan then said she told Bethany that she called everyone and they are not answering. Dylan said she was in and out of it and believed everyone was just asleep. She said she then went to Bethany's room, locked the door and went to bed. Dylan said she woke up at around 11 or 12 and called her roommates and no one answered. She said she called she called somebody else. I'm so sorry. It would have been Hunter. Hunter came to the residence, went upstairs, and told Dylan they needed to call law enforcement immediately. So Hunter went upstairs and saw what he discovered Xana and Ethan and was like, you gotta call 911 now. Dylan was asked if there was anything else she wanted to share. Dylan said the noise Bethany described, this noise is a loud boom, but Dylan did not hear it. So that potentially, I don't know, but was that when they think Xana fell to the ground. Dylan was asked if any of her roommates shared any weird experiences in the last couple of weeks or calls or texts, and she said no, it's been all normal, nothing weird at all. Nothing really weird happens in Moscow usually. And that's one of the attractions of it. I mean, it's a beautiful college town. Nothing really bad happens there. I mean, for the most part, it's a safe place. When asked if there were any altercations at the party, she said no, everything was normal. She mentioned again she was with somebody in Xana at the party. She was asked if anyone was having sexual relations with anyone who shouldn't be, and she said no. She brought up an incident which occurred about a month prior. She said she and Bethany remembered Kaylee saw a shadow while she was taking Murphy outside. She said Kaylee also mentioned when she was at someplace 2 or 3 weeks prior, somebody was following her. I think that might have been the Winco, the guy at the Winco maybe wanted to get her number. She also said she arrived home one time and she believed the slider door was locked. She arrived home one time and the door at 1122 King Road was found open. Dylan said she could hear Murphy barking a lot around 4 a.m. When Kaylee went upstairs. She said she heard Murphy go outside barking as well. So you can hear the barking apparently on the surveillance video from 1112 King Road. So just FYI on that. Dylan said she did not remember if the suspect who ran left the slider door open. Oh, sorry. So we have another interview here at the bottom. Oh, this is from Bethany.
Okay, I'm gonna pop her wig on again, and we're gonna kind of just see where we're at so far. It's kind of fun to check in on it. Okay, it's definitely not a perfect match. Her hair is actually a little bit more reddish or brownish tone than I thought in the movie, but it's just inspired by it. I think it's giving the same, I think the cut of the wig was perfect. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2. We will be correcting her brows. We'll also be eventually restuffing her and tightening the limbs, reattaching the limbs, and last but not least, we'll redo the wig. Thank you so much for watching. This is Boy Meets Doll.
It takes 50 to 60% of donations. Yeah, I think it's, I'm not 100% sure the percentage. I think it's 30%.
Whenever you can go out into the rain, do not